first couple of pages. That's what we mean by the opening. So the first maybe 5 to 6 pages. And the reason why openings are important is because essentially the first impression, right? I'm sure you've heard a million times that first impressions are everything. And I don't think they're quite everything, but they're certainly very, very, very important. Sometimes I'm reading a comic or a manga, and then somebody texts me or calls me, and then I don't come back to it because the opening wasn't strong enough to hook me. It wasn't strong enough for me to be like, woo, I really want to find out what happened here. And in this era where there's so much good content, that's why an opening can be important. Chances are if someone's picked up a comic, they're probably going to read it to the end. But sometimes if the opening isn't good enough, then you may just drop it and not finish it. I know I've done that on a couple of occasions. But we'll look at some examples later on. I wanted to throw in a wild card and bring in some theatre. I wanted to refer to Shakespeare. And the reason being is because I think there are a lot of interchangeable principles in storytelling. And what I like about Shakespeare is with his openings, he always starts in the middle of the action. So you'll never see Shakespeare write a scene where, it'll start with me walking into the office, meeting with my lawyer. It will be in the middle of my conversation or my consultation with the lawyer. And also another interesting thing that he does is he never introduces the main character from the get-go. It will usually be, let me not say never, I think he usually doesn't do it. It will usually be two lesser characters, I suppose, talking about that main character. And what that does is it forms an opinion in your head of that character. So when that character comes in, you're already invested in them, which I think is a clever little trick. And I think that these are a few things that you can actually transpose into other mediums, not just theater, but film, television, prose, and certainly comics and manga.
No, definitely. As much as the mediums change, the fundamentals are all the same. They're all rooted in writing, and you can't escape some writing elements. That's why they're elements. The things that you put together to make up other things.
Sure. I mean, ultimately, it's storytelling, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Ultimately, it's storytelling. Do you have any manga examples? 'Cause as much as we all, at some point, hopefully, did Shakespeare,
Right.
that's very bougie of me. I'm so sorry. I don't expect people to have done Shakespeare.
Okay, fair enough. Let's look at an example specific to manga. Bleach comes to mind, I would say, actually. Funny enough, maybe a controversial choice because, I mean, I like it for how it started rather than how it ended. I think many people would echo that. And if you haven't heard of Bleach, where the hell have you been? No, just kidding. It's one of the most popular mangas of all time. It's about a young man or set in a world where ghosts or the spirits of the dead can choose to linger in the world of the living, and then they turn into these monsters called hollows. And so Grim Reapers, or Shinigamis as the Japanese will call them, have to come to Earth to send the hollows into the next world. And that's essentially the basic plot. It gets a lot more complex and I would say convoluted as things go on, but that's where things start off, and that's really all you need to know. But what I like about the opening of Bleach is, for me, it has all of the key ingredients that I think every good opening should have: curiosity and emotion, right? For me, it just boils down to those two things. Am I curious about what's going on in this story? And emotion, it's like jumping on a roller coaster. Is it making me feel something? It doesn't just have to be positive. It can be any emotion, just as long as I'm feeling something.